Okay, so today is admittedly a little bit of a different kind of video. For starters, as you notice, I'm not by my hot tub. I'm actually sitting here at my computer. But recently I conducted a poll on my YouTube channel and I asked you your opinion as to whether you would want me to do a review video of Swim University's hot tub course and video course. And overwhelmingly, the majority of you said, yes, you'd be curious at least to check it out and see if it's worth buying. Full disclosure, I am an affiliate for this course. In other words, if I put a link out there and somebody clicks it and buys it, they pay me a commission for recommending it. But for the purposes of this video, I actually bought it with my own money. They didn't give it to me for free. I bought it. They don't know I'm doing this video because I want it to be a completely unbiased video so that you can follow along with me and see if you decide you think it's worth buying or not. So let's get into the course right now. I haven't used the course. I just bought it. We're going to discover it together. Hi, I'm Jeff Campbell from Hot Tub Owner HQ, and I'm glad you're here with me today. So I'm talking obviously, but I'm also recording the screen of my computer so that you can follow along with me. So let's kind of dive into it. So once you purchase it and they ask you if you want to upgrade to a few other things and you say yes or no, then you're kind of taken to this screen that you see here. And there's video modules essentially all down on the left-hand side here. A ton of them, it looks like. Just a complete overview of everything you might need to know how to do with regards to your hot tub. Let's just kind of click the intro video here and see what it looks like though.
Hello and welcome to Swim University's hot tub video course. I'm going to show you everything you need to know in order to take care of your hot tub. Now, I got my trusty little iPad here with all of the notes that we need, but the first thing we're going to go over is an introduction to this course, what you're going to learn, what we're going to talk about, everything that I'm going to show you. So first, we're going to talk about the anatomy of a hot tub. What is a hot tub? A swim spa, a portable spa. What's the difference between hot tub and spa? We're going to talk about all of that. An in-ground spa, maybe you have a hot tub that's actually in the ground. This course is going to cover all that, and we'll go over that, and then how to find out how big it is and how many gallons it holds, all of those things. Then we're going to talk about how to clean a hot tub, how to make sure that there's no dirt and debris in the hot tub, how to make sure that it's always crystal clear, and that is super important. Then we're going to go into draining and refilling a hot tub. Now, why we're going to talk about that? Well, it's pretty simple. It's the easiest cure for any problems that you have with your hot tub, and it's something you should do every 90 days, every 3 to 4 months.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there because I don't want to play his entire video. Obviously, he's got a boatload of videos here, and the purpose of my video is not to just sit here and regurgitate everything. I just wanted you to get a feel for Matt. This is Matt, the guy who owns Swim University. They do have a YouTube channel. Most of their content covers swimming pools, but he does have a little bit of content about hot tubs. That's how I became familiar with him, basically, and I have had some dialogues with him. He seems like a great guy. He has a bunch of different businesses, but Swim University, I believe, was kind of his baby, his original vision. And he does have a handbook for swimming pools, as well as this one for hot tubs. But let's kind of like look here at some of what I think the most crucial lessons in his course might be, because I don't know that you necessarily need to know the difference between a swim spa and a hot tub. You probably already own a hot tub and you're just ready to dive in and figure out how better to maintain and clean that hot tub. So you don't necessarily need some of the backstory here that he's about to give us, but I get that he wants to be thorough. So he breaks it down here into different categories that you see over here to the left: hot tub fundamentals, hot tub chemistry, hot tub cleaning, hot tub troubleshooting, checklists and calendars, chemical dosing charts and things like that. And then he's got some, bonus courses that he wants to sell and coupons and discounts on other things that he probably sells. I think most of you probably struggle with hot tub chemicals, balancing the water, getting the alkalinity and the pH right and things like that. And it looks like he does have some charts about alkalinity and pH, but I'm guessing we should probably start with the balancing hot tub water course here. So let's check that one out and see what that one's all about.
As I mentioned in a previous video, balancing the water is super important. And I say everything's important because it really is, but balancing the water is going to make your sanitizers much more effective. And when your sanitizers are effective, it means there's no bacteria in your hot tub. It means there's no waterborne illnesses that can be gotten from your hot tub, and everyone in your family will be safe and secure if your pH and alkalinity are properly balanced and you have sanitizer in the water. So let's talk about pH and alkalinity. So there really are the three things that we're going to cover, but the most important are alkalinity and pH. We're also going to talk a little bit about calcium because that is a balancing chemical, but it's something that you can decide to use or not. I've never really used calcium in a hot tub before, and I've had no problems with not adding calcium, but some manufacturers may recommend that you use calcium. So if they recommend it, use it, but you actually don't need to. So let's get into alkalinity and pH.
I do want to stop him right there. I agree that you don't need to add calcium. However, if you have extremely hard water where you live, maybe you're even on well water, you might have extremely high levels of calcium in the water that you're putting into the hot tub, in which case you might need to add a calcium reducer so that you don't have a lot of scale buildup inside the plumbing and equipment of your hot tub. I do think that's crucial, and I kind of wish he had clarified that a little bit. But I agree with him that you don't need to add calcium to your hot tub's water, unless, of course, your manufacturer recommends it.
So pH is the measure of how acidic and how basic your water is. So as I mentioned in a previous video, your scale of a pH measurement is between 0 and 14. That is the pH scale. And we want it to be perfectly balanced. So perfectly balanced would be 7. In a hot tub, we go a little bit higher. We go to 7.2 to 7.6. That is the sweet spot. That is right where we want the pH of the hot tub to be. If the pH of the water is between that, then your sanitizers are going to be as effective as they can be. Now, alkalinity is your pH buffer because pH is pretty volatile. So let's say if we didn't use alkalinity at all, and we just had our pH level at 7.5. Well, as soon as you jump in the hot tub, because it's only, 3, 4, 500 gallons, you are going to drastically change the pH. And that pH may go super acidic or it may go super basic depending on your body chemistry. And if your hot tub's outside and maybe it's snowing or it's whatever, it's just being outside, that may also change the pH. Everything and anything is going to affect the pH in your water. And so that's where alkalinity comes in. Alkalinity is your pH's bodyguard. It takes the brunt of the hit. And alkalinity is, you should keep that between, it's a different measurement, you should keep that between 100 parts per million, 100 parts per million or 150 parts per million. Keep it between that range. That'll be the first thing to get hit. So your pH is right on the mark, your alkalinity is right in the good range, and you jump in the hot tub, your alkalinity will get hit, but it won't change drastically, and your pH won't rocket down to, say, 6 or shoot up to 8. It'll just stay right in the middle because the alkalinity is going to take a brunt of that hit. So here's what you do in order to add those chemicals. So first, again, we have to test to make sure we know where we stand, because we might be at 0 parts per million of alkalinity, and therefore you should add alkalinity. Or you might be at 100 and you may not have to add that much to get right up in the middle. And once you know where you are, then you just add the chemical directly to the hot tub. You can use, and I would recommend doing it in this order. Adding alkalinity first, no matter what. If your alkalinity is low, add alkalinity. It doesn't matter where your pH is, you just need to make sure that your alkalinity is in the right range. And alkalinity can come in what's called alkalinity increaser, which you can buy at a hot tub store or online, or you can use baking soda. But I highly recommend that you use a chemical designed for hot tubs. It's designed for hot tubs for a reason. And so you add that to get that to the right.
Very quickly, I do want to stop him there because some of the alkalinity increasers on the market are actually just plain baking soda. Yes, the same baking soda that comes in that orange box that you probably have in your kitchen pantry right now. Some alkalinity increasers are exactly the same chemically, but they just cost a lot more. So do check, because there's no reason to spend a boatload of money buying what you could buy for, 49 cents or whatever a box of baking soda costs these days. There are some other products designed to raise alkalinity that do have additional ingredients in there, but do not spend $15 buying what is essentially just plain baking soda. That's ridiculous.
Now, depending on where your pH is, if your alkalinity is low, chances are your pH is also going to be low. And when you add alkalinity, chances are it's also going to raise your pH. Hopefully it raises your pH right in the right range, which is pretty common and does happen, and that's killer because you only have to add one chemical. But let's say your alkalinity is low, but your pH is high. So what's going to happen is when you add alkalinity, it's going to increase your pH a little bit higher. And so you're going to need to fine tune the pH. So add the alkalinity first, absolutely. And now check your pH and see where that is. Again, if it's in range, great. You don't have to do anything. If it's a little high, you can use a chemical called pH decreaser. And pH decreaser is just a powdered acid that you add to the water that will decrease the amount of pH. Now, in the guide that comes with this course, all of the dosing charts are there, so I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to put up on the screen what you need, because every hot tub is different. We all have different gallons in our hot tub, different liters in our hot tub. But if you check the book, you'll know exactly how much to add. Now, let's say you add the alkalinity and your pH is still low, because maybe your pH was really low. And so that, you can just add pH increaser to tweak that up right where you need it to be. And that is the first step to water chemistry, getting those two chemicals balanced. Again, if you want to use calcium in your hot tub,
let me stop him there. Let's actually take a look at the guide he was referring to. Let's look at the alkalinity dosage chart. So it looks like here he basically is telling you, what the desired increase is based on the volume of water in your hot tub. So this is kind of a handy little cheat sheet here that you're seeing on the screen. And that's alkalinity increase, decrease alkalinity. If you watched a recent video I did though on how to test your water at Leslie's Pool Supply, I kind of walked you through that process because I'd never done that before. That was a really fascinating process, completely free, by the way. And if you didn't see that video, make sure and check that out right up here. I do think that might be easier than trying to go off of this chart, quite frankly. Take your water there, get a printout, or pull it up on the app on your phone later, and it tells you exactly what to do, exactly how much of what chemicals to add in what increments based on your actual numbers. Takes all of the guesswork out of it. So again, if you didn't watch that recent video of mine where I walk you through that, just check that out on the screen, or I'll also put a link for it in the description down below. But I do think this chart is handy. It's very specific. If you test your water and you realize that you need to increase your alkalinity by 40 parts per million, you have a standard large sized hot tub, then here it tells you you got to add 5 ounces of alkalinity increaser. That is pretty specific, pretty easy to follow. I do like that. Let's pick a different video though, I think, and just kind of get a different feel. I'm not going to walk you through every video and every chart in this course. It is very extensive, as you can see here. I just wanted you to get a feel for what was in the course and a feel for Matt's style. Matt, again, is the owner of Swim University, creator of this course, just so you could decide if it seemed like something worth buying. I paid $97 for this, so that's what you're getting right now. Again, I will put a link to this in the description down below if you want to check it out. But let's look at least one more video here. Let's look at sanitizing a hot tub. Let's hear what he has to say about that. As you know, if you watched any of my other videos, I use bromine tablets in a floater for my sanitizer. And then recently, I've been using the MAV Aqueduct non-chlorine shock once a week. I traditionally have used chlorine-based shock. I did switch to that after they sent me one of all the different chemicals that they had, and I did a review video of that. And if you didn't see that, I'll put a card for that up here on the screen as well, because I walk you through every chemical that they sent me. I test it out. I show you what I think, show you the actual results in my hot tub. But I've been using their non-chlorine-based shock, and I like it quite a bit. Traditionally, when I've used non-chlorine-based shocks in the past, it resulted in somewhat cloudy water, and I haven't experienced that with this. So I do like that quite a bit. But let's hear what Matt has to say in this course.
So we've tested the water, we've balanced the water, and now we have to sanitize the water. Sanitizing the water is crucial because we want people who are soaking in it to be safe. And again, I'm going to bring up this analogy of having a bathtub in your house constantly filled with the same water, and the same people and different members of your family are using it, and maybe just different strangers are using it, because that happens in a hot tub over and over again. That water will become gross. But the difference between a hot tub and a bathtub is in a hot tub, there's much more water, and we use sanitizers to kill the bacteria so that that's not as gross, right? But we still have to drain every 3 to 4 months. So there are a few different types of sanitizers that you can use, and the most effective sanitizer is chlorine, and it's the one that I personally recommend. So if you just operate a chlorine hot tub, you would use something called chlorine granules, which are just like powdered chlorine that you would add to the hot tub water every once in a while when you need to add chlorine. And with chlorine, you need to keep 3 parts per million in at all times. Now, a better system that also uses chlorine is called an ionizer or a mineral sanitizer. And these are sold and replaced every 3 to 4 months. And they're pretty small, they're like a little stick that go inside your hot tub's filter. And it adds minerals to the water, and that is what sanitizes the water and keeps bacteria away. But mineral sanitizers don't work as well as chlorine. And so mineral sanitizers require a 0.5 parts per million of chlorine in the water at all times as a backup. So anything that the minerals don't get, the chlorine will. And that's how you keep low chlorine in your hot tub and keep it sanitized all the time. So I can't recommend that system more. And again, all of that is in the book, the actual products that we recommend, and I highly suggest that you go for that.
Now that's interesting. I'm going to stop him right there because I've never used that mineral stick in the filter that he was talking about, and I am now curious to try that. So I think I might actually try that, and I'll do a video on my success or failure with that as well in the near future, because that does sound interesting to me. Again, I don't use chlorine. I use bromine, which is gentler on the skin, less of a strong chlorine odor than traditional chlorine would have. But if I could do something where the chlorine was almost non-existent in my water, but it was still perfectly sanitized, that would be very appealing.
You can also use a chlorine floater where you can add chlorine tablets and it will constantly add chlorine, but I still recommend using the granulars because that way you have full control over how much chlorine. You don't add too much and you don't add too little. You know exactly what to add. All of the dosing charts are again in our guide, so if you need to know how much chlorine or bromine or any of the sanitizers to add to the hot tub, all of those charts are in the back depending on how many gallons or liters your hot tub is. So the next sanitizer is technically still chlorine, but it's salt. So they do have saltwater hot tubs, and you can buy an aftermarket saltwater generator, or some hot tubs are built in this saltwater generator. And what happens is salt is in the water and passes through a system where an electrical charge happens and turns that salt into chlorine. So salt systems are chlorine, and you want to keep 3 parts per million of chlorine in there at all times. That said, those are the chlorine systems. I highly recommend using an ionizer or mineral stick with chlorine and keeping your chlorine at 0.5 parts per million. That's my big recommendation. Then there's bromine, which is a very popular sanitizer in hot tubs because it has a low odor. So a lot of hot tubs are indoors, just like a lot of pools are indoors. They use or tend to use bromine to sanitize. Bromine is a halogen cousin of chlorine. It just doesn't have the same chlorine odor. But you need to keep 3 to 5 parts per million of bromine in your hot tub at all times. And bromine can be a little bit more expensive because it's a little bit more rare. And that comes in tablets and in granulars, just like chlorine does. And with the bromine system, they have bromine shock, so you can do a high dosage of bromine, but you can also use non-chlorine shock. So let's talk about shock for a second, because
I do want to stop him right there because I was a little surprised he didn't mention that the primary difference between chlorine and bromine is that chlorine breaks down in hot water, in heat essentially, very, very quickly, much faster than bromine. And that's one of the big reasons why I use bromine, in addition to the fact that bromine doesn't have that strong chlorine odor. But if you do use chlorine in your hot tub, you probably are going to find you have to add it a lot more frequently, which negates the fact that the bromine is slightly more expensive. If you're having to add it twice as often, that cost differential kind of becomes a moot point at that point. I was surprised he didn't mention that, at least here.
Both in a bromine system and a chlorine system, I recommend that you invest in non-chlorine shock, specifically designed for hot tubs. And it's just like chlorine, it is a powder that you add to the hot tub. And what that does is, for bromine, it'll recharge the bromine in your hot tub so that it starts sanitizing again. And for a chlorine a chlorine hot tub, when you add the shock to the water, it will oxidize the chlorine and it'll add more chlorine and it starts all over again. So highly recommend that you get a non-chlorine shock as well. And then finally, there's biguanines. Now, my experience, we didn't use biguanines a lot when we were taking care of hot tubs, and especially the ones in the store that we were selling the hot tubs through. And the reason we didn't do that is because some of the manufacturers didn't want you using them. Now, things have changed, and I'm sure there's some manufacturers that are completely fine with it. So I would just make sure that before you use biguanine, check with your spa's manufacturer, this manufacturer of your hot tub, to see if that's not going to void your warranty.
I'm going to stop him right there because frankly, I've never even heard of biguanines, and it's not something I've seen on the shelf at Home Depot and other places where I've purchased chemicals in the past. So it's interesting to me that there's a sanitizer out there that I haven't heard of, but clearly from what he's saying, it is way down on the list of approved sanitizers from hot tub manufacturers.
And biguanine is peroxide-based sanitizer that is not chlorine. And so if you have an issue with chlorine or bromine, then you should use a biguanine system. These are a little bit more expensive than chlorine and bromine, and they are branded, one of the more popular brands out there is called Aqua Spa. That's an entire...
All right, now I have heard of that brand name. I just didn't know that was the chemical name of the sanitizer that they were using in their system.
It's all chemical based, it's all liquid. There's no powders, it's all liquid based. And I believe BioGuard makes one as well called SpaGuard. So those are two systems that you can use for biguanine if you have a problem with chlorine.
I'm going to stop the video there because, again, I don't want to just sit here and play every video and bore you to tears. This video is going on long enough as it is already. I just wanted you to get, again, an overview of what's in this course because it is extensive. All of these over here on the left-hand side are indeed videos until we get down here to the cheat sheets and the dosage charts. Then those will be graphics that appear on the screen. And every video, it looks like, is, going to be shy of 10 minutes long. So there's a lot of information here. It is very neatly organized into different categories so you can find exactly the issue that you're having and then watch the appropriate video for that specific issue. I do like that. Let's check out one more video very briefly, and let's look at hot tub water problems and see what's in that video.
Sometimes you're going to have water problems. You're going to need to troubleshoot, and you're going to need to solve those problems. Now, in this lesson, we're going to talk about water troubleshooting. So if you have cloudy water, green water, all of those things, how to fix that. There's other problems you can have with your hot tub, like with your control panel, with your heater, with your pumps and air blowers and all of those different things. All of that is covered in the book. There's just way too much to go over there, but each one of those troubleshooting techniques is outlined and gone into detail and how to fix it in the book. So
all right, so he keeps referencing the book. I see the individual things over here on the left. Let's see if we can actually find the book that he's talking about. It's the Hot Tub Handbook PDF. So yes, this is probably what he's referencing. Looks like I have to save it in order to open it. Let's take a quick look at that. All right, so got some hyperlinks built in here. So again, you can kind of click to go right where you want to go. It looks like a lot of this mirrors the video lessons. Okay, so I think what he was talking about just then, like issues with heaters and control panels, would probably be here under troubleshooting hot tub problems. Let's just take a quick look at that. All right, so yeah, he deals with cracks and scratches, walks you through how to repair cracks, high limit switches tripping. This is all good information, how to reset. I will point out that probably on his website and certainly on mine, I do have articles that cover virtually everything I've seen here. But this is nice that it's in one convenient place and you can click links in the index to go right where you want to go instead of having to sift through the 200 some odd articles that are on my website, for example. But he's got everything here. Heating element issues, weak water flow, low water level, malfunctioning pumps and things of that nature. So it looks like he really does have this very thoroughly covered in his handbook. Again, the handbook kind of mirrors the video lessons to a large degree, but it does look like he goes a little bit deeper in the handbook on certain things. I do think if you're brand new to hot tubbing and you really don't know that much about it and you're desperate to try and have an easy to follow system, something like this, having it just handy on your computer or even on your phone, I do think would be a good thing. And then maybe that's in addition to having your water tested it for free at Leslie's Pool Supply. Between those two things, I do think that you would be completely covered with easy step-by-step instructions for almost any issue that you could possibly encounter. So from that standpoint, I do like his course. It is very thorough. Again, it's not necessarily information you can't find out there for free, again, like maybe on my website or maybe on my YouTube channel, but this is neatly packaged all in one place, and you can quickly click and find the exact solution to the problem that you're having, and there is value in that level of convenience. Anyway, I hope this video helps you. If you want to check out more about Matt's course, I'm going to put a link to that down below in the description, but for now, I'll see you in the next video.